It's still saying starting recording. Okay, there we go. I would also like
That
to
was the
point out that
funniest
it
look
has like
ever.
20 seconds of recording time, so all of me going towards the camera should show up on the video.
Oh God, I hope
Shalom,
so.
y'all. Is here with this week's Facetiously Familial, where everyone's a philosopher and nobody does research. Joining me today is just my mom this time. My brother is Utanaboot in China, and he will not be back for another week. And sorry about missing last week, but life occurs. Familial things sometimes have to not be facetious.
I like that. You are so right. This was a serious week. I took everyone at the airport to go, not here. I'm so glad that you're still in the continental United States. Because
So
if you left too, I don't know what I'd do.
you would probably have to take the cousins that are moving houses and just bring them into your house. No, guys, don't stay in an apartment. Don't stay in a hotel. Come to my house, please. I need people.
I literally, the part of my office that you can't see is full of bedding and stuff because I actually had to have people sleep in the office because we needed more bedrooms so I could take them to the airport. Anyway, I realized I didn't close my door. 1 sec.
Okay. So.
There we go.
I was planning to just kind of like talk at the microphone and just see where my mind took me, but then you came back, so never mind. I guess we won't get stream of consciousness, Daniel, for today.
No, maybe we should.
There are days. Anyways, do you have a topic that you wished to discuss?
Okay, so yes.
Cool.
And this is one. This started like 3 weeks ago. I'm doing a long-term temporary substitution teaching job at a small school, and my topic is how what you do changes you. But I have a story.
Sure. So, go for it.
In the past week, we had solar tubes installed. So they're basically reflective tunnels that bring sunlight down into your house, but are not an actual skylight. So you can have them when you have, a pitched roof, but a flat ceiling. So yeah. We've been wanting to have more light in the house, and now is the time. And the guys came in, and they did all the pre-work, but they showed up late. So they showed up after 10 o'clock in the morning. They left all their stuff in my side of the garage without asking. They left by I think it was 1:30, 1:40. So, Dad took a day off work for their 3.5 hours, and they left the house filthy. And we were having guests over to spend the night. So normally I would just have cleaned it up and gone, I'll make sure that I observe them the next day and whatever. But since I'm teaching,
yes,
you look at what would you accept from a student. And these guys, oh my God, they got like a 30%, showed up late, left early, left a mess, didn't do anything. I mean, I was just like, I can't accept less than I would accept from my children. So I called the company and he's like, it's okay, ma'am. It's okay. We'll do. And it was funny because I'm like, no, I'm not a crazy woman. I'm not.
I am not here to get these people in trouble because they are doing their job. They just need to realize what that job means.
Right. They're cutting holes in my roof. I need to trust them. So what was funny is we came back the next day and it was a father and his son. And his son was unbelievably taciturn, withdrawn, and surly.
Okay.
But I mean, they literally turned their backs so they couldn't see me when I walked in because I came in from work and Dad was at home. But they were doing the job. They said, we have an extra piece of plywood. We can fix this problem that we found in your roof. We can do it today. So I said, we need to reward them because this is behavior we want.
Yes.
And I went to the bank and I got $100 as a tip
Yeah.
because you reward good behavior. Now, I don't know if I would have done either of those two things if
If
I
you
hadn't
weren't a
been
teacher.
teaching
Yeah.
for 3 weeks, because it was since you were in like 8th grade was the last time I was in a classroom.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. And my question is, how does your job change you? How does what you do change you?
So specifically looking at myself, um, my job is not substantially different from what I do on a daily basis. So like when I am looking at the stuff that I do for pleasure, I am either reading some form of fantasy or I am playing a game or studying for the game. And so what that turns into
Yes.
is that I find one or two sources that I trust that I go to for information for my job. So, for example, I have been developing these instrument data sheets, and I found that there are these two companies that are big names in pressure gauges and tanks, specifically polyethylene tanks. So plastic stuff that isn't chemically reactive.
Right.
And what I do for video games is I find my one or two sources that I trust and deep dive into it. And for example, this past week, it is more that my private life has been affecting my work life. I was going to call it school life, but it's more work life. Considering
Yeah.
that, holy shit, I'm out of school, yay. But I spent like 3 or 4 hours deep diving into this polyethylene stuff, trying to figure out, is this safe for sulfuric acid to be in? And the answer is mostly. There's some issues with what they want to do, because what the company is specifically trying to do is they are trying to mix a 40% sulfuric acid concentration down to 10%. And the addition of water into sulfuric acid is a highly exothermic reaction.
Right. Right.
And
And wait, define exothermic.
exothermic is a release of heat. So when you put sulfuric acid into water, it gets hot. It
Right.
is a good way to boil off water and then have some spicy water at the end of it. Uh, so plastic, as many of you may well know, melts.
Becomes malleable at temperature.
Yes. And so luckily the transition from 40% to 10% at the volumes that they are looking at will still work for plastic, but we had to there's a couple of graphs that we had to judge off of and figure out, okay, what thickness of tank do we need such that there is enough heat sinking for this plastic so that it won't melt. And
What are the byproducts?
the byproduct is just heat. The
So
chemical
no, I mean
reaction
like
is,
so it's clearly a chemical reaction because it gives off heat. So
yes.
my question is, do you have to have like venting in your tank too?
Not really. The big thing is just that for whatever reason, I'm not a chemist. I don't
Oh,
know these
that's true.
things, and they weren't really described in the deep dive
Right.
that I diddly done did. Uh, is just that water plus sulfuric acid equals heat energy. There's not a whole lot of chemical byproduct associated with it.
I thought it'd be like my the reason why I asked is I was thinking, like
It might be carbon
hydrogen
dioxide.
or steam or
Yeah,
carbon dioxide or whatever. Anyway, I digress.
yeah.
So your home life changed your work life, made you better
To an extent. Essentially, what I'm not going to say that it has made me better at work, because another thing that I have realized is that one of the most damaging things you can do to a kid is give them access to a computer if we are expecting the work life to stay the same. I will describe that later and just continue on with the work affecting, not school, damn it, I'm out of school, work, home affecting work. I will one day realize that I'm no longer a student, but today it's not that day. So, oh gosh, we have had stream of consciousness, Daniel, regardless of whether or not you're here. So, it has given me my home life, and the studying for video games has given me the skills of how to find stuff on a website and the patience to search through an entire website.
Ugh, ugh. Right, 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 right. Oh,
So
that is
those
fun.
are the only transferable skills there. I have not found any transferable skills or hangups specifically from me working, and that might simply be because I'm not wildly enthused by my job. It's a job. It's it's honestly a good job with people that I enjoy. Uh, it's just nothing special or spectacular, and I don't think anyone there would try to convince you that it is. It's an important job that needs to be done and will pay the bills, and it won't be soul crushing while doing it.
Well, that is, I mean, if you go back and you read like old books and that kind
Hmm.
of thing, you know, up to the turn of the century, that's exactly what you wanted for a job.
Yeah.
And like no one expected to be happy. And it's the funniest thing now because you look at us all and we look at it and go, what makes you happy? And the real answer is, do you need to be happy all the time? Or do you need something that fulfills and satisfies some needs of yours?
Hmm.
Or, you know, like if you watch even old movies, you know, father goes off to work with his little, he's got his, you know,
Hmm.
and he comes home and he sits down, and he's not happy. and and it's funny because like raising children, are you happy 95% of the time you're raising children? No. Is it worth every single minute? Yes. You know,
Hmm.
am I happy in the classroom most of the time? No. Is it worth it? Yes, because it
Hmm.
is soul satisfying, you know. So it's an interesting, like it's an interesting thought because like,
So
you know,
the way in which my job has been soul satisfying is that every so often I have something to do that I've done before and I feel competent at, and just that feeling of basic competence makes me happy, especially when,
oh
like,
yes.
going from school to work, there's no transferable skills, and just the fact that I feel competent ever at my job is nice.
Well,
It's it's like
yeah.
really actually nice, because I spent the past 5 years feeling highly competent at school, and then the last year of school feeling highly incompetent at everything.
Well, yeah, it was funny. I have a, it was speaking of the school and transferable. I had a friend, well, actually, the principal of my school, she was telling the funniest story.
Hmm.
Her son is taking one class. I don't know. You know what? In
Details.
yeah, details, whatever. But it was hilarious because he had texted her to ask her when she went shopping to pick up some stuff at the store, and
Hmm.
she was like, "Wait a minute, what part of you being in college do you not realize what's going on?" She was like, "You have so much more time than me. You're so, you know, because there's always issues at a school. It's a brand new school. She's the
Yeah.
principal. It means,
Hmm.
you know, you're the chief cook and bottle washer in all aspects of something that is new. So
Yeah.
you don't have enough volunteers to pick up all that weird stuff that people do at schools. You don't have,
Hmm.
you know, your staff is, they're trying, but you don't have like all the rules for the staff. And
Yeah,
All,
they
all
have
those
not
things.
yet figured out the core competencies that will
Oh,
come in like 4 years.
right, right. And it was the funniest thing because he was just like, if you just pick that up for me. And it's
Hmm.
things that he said when he was in fifth grade that were
Yeah.
fine. And now it's like, ah.
So jumping back to the idea of computers are damaging to children.
Right. I wrote it down to make sure we'd get back there because I really want to know this.
So a computer to me is my favorite TV, my favorite book, my favorite streaming platform, my favorite gaming console. There is nothing that is not joyful that I have not figured out how to do on my computer. And you are now asking me to spend 8 hours a day doing something that is not joyful with that same machine.
Okay, I never
And
had that
I
thought
know
before.
for a fact with this machine that I am just doing some shenanigans for someone else. I could be, say, reading Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, something that I have been getting back into recently. And I know for a fact I know how to do it such that I won't even get viruses on your computer. We're good. There is nothing here that will impact your stuff except for the fact that I'm not doing my job.
Okay, this is when I realized we are really from a different generation.
Yeah, and I really think that my generation of parents are going to swing two ways. Either give them a tablet immediately because it is the most powerful device in the world and will be able to extend their reach to the stars above, or no devices ever. I recognize all your friends have them. No.
Okay, I went for that option. Dad went for the other option. Who won?
Dad.
Not me.
Yes.
That was
And
great.
I have this feeling that those discussions are going to take place within married families nowadays. And I
Right.
feel like we're going to see in about 10 years the first couple of reports coming out about how detrimental computers are to kids and how amazing computers are to kids. And basically, parents are going to have to look at the two of them and say, what social hangups and what issues are we willing to accept to grant our children the ability to have all of human knowledge at their fingertips?
Okay, so what's funny,
Yeah.
speaking of devices, so you not always, but you started calling my iPad, which we're speaking on, otherwise I'd hold it up,
Uh-huh.
um, my assistive device. Did I
Yeah.
tell you? Because it's true. I
Well,
use it for
John
everything.
has started calling you that, and I think it's
Oh,
hilarious, and he's a genius.
he is. So what's funny is the kids at school were like, if you have a seeing eye computer, you need to get a lease for it. And I was like, because it's true, because it makes print big enough for me to read.
Yep.
And I am like a total knowledge hound. It allows me to get any piece of knowledge, and like review clips of how to make things and whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
oh, wait, okay. Have we
Side
done the
tangent.
computer work life thing? We got a
Sure.
subject change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read the most interesting book, and it was a cookbook. It
Was
was
it
called
Alton Brown's cookbook?
no. Although you would think, right? Right. Because I mean, he's amazing. So the so I use Overdrive on my iPad. That's how I got here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking
Describe
for.
Overdrive.
Oh, thank you. It is the library system's way of checking out ebooks. And what's great is if you're a member of multiple libraries, like say, you can access books from all of them. So if ones are all checked out in one, you can get it in another.
Uh-huh.
So one of the books that was recommended for me was called The Vegan Pantry.
Sure.
And, because being vegan, right? Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. So I checked it out and I read it. And she was a person who, like, so Rene Redzepi is the chef at Noma in Copenhagen, that
Cool.
all he does, he just cooks from his little local area. So they forage for all the wild food and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And he was top restaurant in the world for a couple years and blah, blah, blah. But when you instead of going, I can cook anything with anything, if you take some limitations, it
Mm-hmm.
makes you cleverer.
Yes.
This vegan pantry cookbook was amazing because what she did was she fermented like cashews and soybeans and stuff like that to make cheese type products,
Hmm.
and used koji, which is the Japanese fungus that's used to make, like, I think it's katsuobushi, and it's a fungus that infects rice. But
Sure.
what she went and said, wait a minute, what if you just said there is no milk, there is
Yeah.
no whatever, what can I find that makes those things happen? And it was brilliant. I mean, brilliant. She can make meringues out of flaxseed.
Ooh, that's
Right.
impressive.
It's
Damn.
she has buttercream recipes and meringues, and I mean they're just my mind was blown, and I want to go
Mhm.
shopping, and I want to go pick up the ingredients to make all these things, and it's like, wait a minute, Easter's in 2 weeks, you can make one special thing. You can't make every special thing.
Also, how much energy are you willing to put towards this while you're teaching?
Well,
If you spend your entire weekend cooking, are you going to be awake for class?
I have not been sleeping well because there's so much to think about. So
Yeah.
you are right,
Uh-huh.
because this
I know
is
you well.
yeah, we've met. I've been like doing on 3 to 6 hours a night, which is really not good for me.
Ooh,
I'm not at my
that's
best.
that's unfortunate.
By Friday, I'm going, okay, guys, when I write the wrong thing down, you tell me. What's half 25? I said 13 and a half. And
Nice.
I just like 13 and a half, and I was like, oh, I got caught by everybody.
All
That
right,
was,
guys. Trust me, I
yeah,
can teach you. The details
yes,
are gonna be weird. Let me
right.
know when my mind is somewhere different.
Oh, it was so funny. That's when you realize, that squirrel thing is still around. We'll be doing something, and I'll be like, blah, 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 and they'll be like,
Really?
you know. But we have a really good time. We've
Yeah.
been we've been doing breaking spaghetti labs and stuff for slope intercept form. It's been fun. You know,
Cool.
it's the stuff we used to do when I lost my children. They grew up and moved out of the house, and
And
now,
then started inviting you to D&D.
okay, you are right, and that is wonderful, and I love it. It was the weirdest thing when, meeting all your friends, and I made that one like snarky comment about young men not having tissues in their apartment, and
Hmm.
every single one of them did. It was so good for me. It was like, change your brain. Not everyone is the young men who I went to school with.
Yes, we have what you need to remember is that you went to a military college. And so there's a very specific subsection of person that you knew. And admittedly, there is some significant overlap. See Tom, and I'll
Right.
just stop there. Uh, but you need to
Yeah.
recognize that we are all civilians. Despite the fact that I was raised by two officers, you guys didn't run a military household.
No. Oh, I did start that way though. Oh, I feel so sorry for John. Oh, God
Yeah,
bless him. He
I
rubbed off some of the
recognize
rougher edges.
I recognize how good my life was for the fact that John came first. It's
Yeah. Mm. You have your experiment child.
yeah. I it is so odd to me just how much of my life experience is because I am the second child. And I really have to wonder, like, there were the definite chances of us having a third kid within the family, and
Hmm.
what would their life have looked like?
Oh my
What?
goodness. I know. Because you guys were so old.
Yeah,
You were at you were at
I
elementary school,
I think
and
I was
everything.
12 when
I,
you
I was gonna say
specific
10 or 12. Yeah,
yeah.
somewhere around there. Oh, that's funny. Right. Well, in the book I'm reading now by Adam Grant, Originals, he talks about birth order and how the younger children are so much more risk takers
Yeah.
and things because different reasons. Now, it's not true in every case because some of the things were definitely wrong. But even, I mean, like I looked at it and went, oh, no, you guys can have them switch. No.
Uh-huh.
That's a first child thing and that's a second child thing from my experimental group of two.
Two.
You know, oh my goodness. Right. Yeah. Poor John. But
Hmm.
he's done well. He still talks to us. You know,
Which is impressive. It
it's
is a
a
little bit
living miracle.
it's really funny looking at the differences between our relationship now as opposed to our relationship as kids living together. It
Like,
really improved for the fact that we were just not in the same place for a while. Like, the fact that John now hits me up to see, hey Daniel, want to hang out? That just didn't happen.
right.
I tagged along to everything because I was the second child and because I wanted to be around my big brother. But there were some times when John would say no. But there was never times when John said, "Let's do this." That really started when John went to college. And like that's when John and I started going to concerts. It was never
Right.
until John went to college that we started to go to events together.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting because when you leave it, you go, oh, that's what I had.
Hmm.
Right. It was funny because though I'm also the second child, I never tagged along with my older sister. I always played with my younger brothers.
Hmm. Preludes to the military life.
Oh my God. Oh, I had, okay. So have you ever had a conversation that went on two levels? Where like the one person was having a conversation that you wished you could be able to have and you were
Hmm.
like down here.
Yes. I find I don't consider myself a very competent person, and so I find myself in those conversations quite often. Luckily, most of those conversations are about politics, so I don't really care, and I do my best to stay out of those. But
Right.
yes, I know.
I had a conversation like that with Uncle Jerry
About?
yesterday. It was about the possibility of teaching jobs, and
Yeah.
he had spent the entire week interviewing people for teaching jobs.
Hmm.
So he's at like high school, college level of thinking about all these things. I was just like kicking around the idea. This was the first conversation I had with somebody who was a teacher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I am like a kindergarten. And he's like up there,
Yes.
and it was so funny because I'm like, he said lots of valuable things, but right now I got nothing to hang them on.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Like,
It was
listening
great.
to one of the big reasons why I like longitudinal podcasts, and what I mean is long running podcasts,
Yeah.
is that people have such different life experiences from me. I am a weird dude because everything that I have felt and acted upon is apparently weird. And so being able to listen to, let's just say, the PCP. Really weird, esoteric podcast where basically all of them are libertarians and just wildly offensive. It's a lot of fun. Uh, and the first, like, 10 podcasts that I listened to from them, I stayed because of the crazy fuck everyone energy. And then I started to actually understand and be able to recognize what they're actually talking about and what they mean. And just seeing that change in myself of actually coming to understand something wildly different from my core philosophy and understanding,
Right.
it was cool. I really
Right.
appreciate these guys because they're a whole bunch of artists. They have a wildly different life experience by the fact that they like doing creative things and spend the time to holy shit do them.
Right. Yeah, oh, that's funny. You almost got a spit take, by the way. That was so
Yes,
close.
I did know.
I'm really glad because I would have to clean it up. It would make great theater. Um,
See our first episode.
oh my goodness. But wait a minute, you were about creative. Okay, so this was interesting. Now, the longer I'm around, the more that it drives me crazy when someone says, "Oh, you're so talented."
Hmm. Hmm.
I knew you would appreciate this. I had a long conversation with somebody last night. It's like, no, you spent years honing your speaking voice and honing your craft at, all through all the speech and dramas and all through continuing to record podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of work in it. Dad has a lot of work in his woodwork.
Yes.
We were talking about, so the very first thing he ever made when we were living in the Philippines, they had a wood shop on base. So we would drive down to the wood shop, and he had bought a couple pieces of plywood from him, and he made the ricketiest, crappiest computer desk ever made in the world.
Nice.
It was terrible. It was so
Yeah.
bad. We didn't keep it, and we've kept everything else. I mean, we have those reindeer made out of the subflooring from Drug Emporium. We have everything else. It was so bad.
And if you guys would like to see an example of what Dad can do now, Mom, go ahead and tilt your screen to the right about 30 degrees.
Okay, so that was the first big project. And then we go to, you can't really see you and John, but let me move it. Hold on and see if I can't get, there we go.
And so,
off as this.
stained glass window. And so what Dad has
Now
started to do is he has begun taking stained glass window designs and recreating them in wood. These are really incredible pieces of art, and they're just wonderful. He has become such a skilled craftsman with his scroll saw. It is incredible.
Right. And that was what the genesis of the conversation was. And it was so funny because I felt insulted for him. Okay, I'm going to slowly bring you back because I think being backlit by the windows is probably terrible. I can't tell.
It is not awful, but it's also not great.
Right.
This is a better lighting arrangement for yourself.
Oops. Sorry, people. Hey, it has so many degrees of motion on it. I'm just, yeah. This is, yeah. Oh, it's so funny. So funny. Oh, Daniel, you just have a good voice. God gave you a gift.
I mean, A, he did, but B, I have been trying over here. That's really one of the things that I want more out of, because I feel like I have spent so much time working on my voice, and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I'm not making money off of it kind of annoys me. And I'm starting to realize that's more my issue and my dissatisfaction is that everything that I have put time towards feels like I'm not doing anything with. Because I don't
Well,
feel like I have put time and effort towards my electrical engineering because school is just easy for me. School is
uh,
not something that I had to put effort towards. Like, okay, for example, one class that I feel like I should have gotten an A in, but I got a B in, was one that I literally read manga during the class times. And you have to recognize that that was a class that I legitimately put no effort in, and I still got a B in an engineering school. I don't consider school difficult, and I don't consider it like effort being put in. The biggest effort that I put into the school was just dealing with getting my master's done. So, like, when people say, oh, it's so amazing that you've gotten this degree, I really don't think of it as that amazing. It is the bare minimum of what I should be able to accomplish. The times I get praised for my voice work, that does feel like praise. Because I have done stuff for it. I have legitimately experimented about how to speak well.
well, but also, I mean, that kind of irritation is what makes you continually look for outlets. So I
Yeah.
find that kind of irritation to be beneficial. You know, like for me, not making it through to my yoga students or my tutoring students or now my students at St. Tim, or not being able to like have this deep important conversation that I had to have.
Uh-huh.
It made me go do research and go look. It motivated me to action. So that irritation makes your pearl baby okay, and it's just annoying.
Yeah. One of these
Yeah.
days, maybe I'll be able to sell that pearl.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
or find that the making of the pearl is just so satisfying you don't need to.
Yeah, the current issue with voice work is that I hate editing.
Yeah.
It's
You need to
awful.
make money so you can hire an editor.
Or I just need to hire an editor now because I am making money and I could probably like spring for someone to do the stuff for me. What I need to actually do is put a video out on my channel saying, "Hey guys, who wants to be my editor? I'll pay you."
That's actually
I
that's
just I have
not a
been
bad
thinking
idea.
about doing that for literally years, and I just
Man,
haven't.
I had a conversation I was thinking about for 4 years. So on Friday, and it was such a relief. It
Uh-huh.
was lovely. So maybe you should do that.
I should. There's no
You
reason
got
for me to not have
talented
at this
people
point.
who listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What he said. Oh, that's funny.
hmm
Yeah, because you have an audience, and you should leverage your audience, not just. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah. It's and there are going to be those people that when they hear, "Oh, I get to be a part of the process," people want to be a part of the process. I would love to be a part of the process of a lot of my favorite YouTube channels. And
Oh
I
yeah,
wouldn't want to be a part of the editing process, but the writing process, I would love to be a part of that kind of stuff. I've
right.
also been realizing just how bad I am at doing stuff by myself. And just literally, if there is someone else in the room, I work better.
Oh, sorry. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
would I want to get that part one of ASMR Dark Souls, finding love through extreme
Oh,
adversity. And I know how to do it, I just need to be willing to
oh,
deal with Linux.
okay. Oh, oh, please.
I
Oh,
know.
please.
I
That
know.
was that part. That part. That part. I only caught little bits and pieces, and I came
Uh-huh.
in it when you were recording. But oh, I want to hear it. I really do. I really do. But you also kind of need someone who knows how to do Linux.
Yeah, the big thing is that I invited one of my friends over to help me with it. I was going to pay him in food, as college kids are
Yeah.
one, and I was expecting him to send me a text around 3ish saying, "Hey, I'll be over at X time so that we can work on this." He sends me a text at 8 p.m. that day saying, "Hey, I'm at your door. I brought my other friend." And, like, cool. I really enjoyed both of these people. We hung out and had a nice night. But I'm sitting there going, like, my dudes, I invited you over to do this thing. And now we're not doing this thing because I don't want to stay up until midnight trying to do the thing. So I'm just going to keep playing this video game and we can chat as I'm playing this video game.
So you
Luckily,
made a new ASMR.
luckily, the two of them were okay with it, and they just enjoyed hanging out. But it did kind of annoy me that. So I sent out a text just this past week because I have another plan for how to become a YouTube sensation because I always have another plan.
Excellent.
Yes. And I need to clean my whiteboard in order to do that. I explicitly want to clean my whiteboard. That is why I texted people about this stuff. Luckily, it is also a Saturday that I want to do this, therefore, we can hang out afterwards. Everyone sent me, everyone who said yes has also said to me, "Daniel, if you wanted to hang out, you could have just said, let's hang out." No, I don't want to hang out. I want to do this thing, then hang out.
That's fringe benefits.
I explicitly want to do this thing, and then afterwards, because you are all my friends and I love you, I want to hang out. And I feel like it is so much more like what I think that people don't realize is that I like to use people. And that is as bad as you think it is, but it's also a very nice thing I like to say, simply because, like, I do want to be with people. I want to be sociable, but recognize that if we're being sociable and there's the possibility of additional stuff, I look for the additional stuff.
Right. I like to accomplish things. I do.
Yes.
It's funny because I have friends who just like to sit and talk for hours, and I'm like, no, can we like walk while we do that, or like garden while we do that, or
Mhm.
yes.
And I am totally the kind of guy that enjoys a day of come over, shut up, sit down, stop shutting up. That is a good day of hanging out for me. But if I have the idea to do something else during it, I lead with that because I want that to be the expectation.
Right. Right. No, that's important.
Regardless of how long it takes, I want the expectation of the additional first.
Right. Right. That's right. Yeah. That's interesting. I like
So
that.
everyone was giving me shit for the fact that, oh, Daniel just wanted to hang out and he came up with an excuse. No! The hanging out was the excuse for you guys to come over to do this thing for me.
I like that. Yeah, you Tom Sawyer. Oh my goodness, that is great.
Mhm.
I love it.
So, is there anything else that you wanted to chat about?
Well,
Any other topics on your list?
no, I was just looking down at it. I'm going, yeah, we're amazing. are, complete.
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed us being facetiously familial. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Did I say that right? I think I did. I'm reading this and I'm apparently just having fucking issues with my eyes. I I should get glasses. I probably should. Not because like it's because my mind is bad, not because my eyes are bad. Assuming that I haven't, like, apparently killed myself by just being an idiot. Bye.